Physical media is dying is the sort of thing that people are saying nowadays when they look at how physical media, this thing that we love collecting films on a physical format, looking at how it's doing compared to the massively popular alternative that is digital and streaming. But is physical media really dying? I think that we might actually be living through the golden age of physical media, and we don't realize how lucky we actually have it right now. So that's what I'm going to get into in this video. So why do people say that physical media is dying? Well, of course, the sales of physical media has been declining for a very long time due to the popularity of all of these streaming services. I don't need to name them all, you know them. And by the way, I have no problem with streaming at all. And in fact, I regularly use many of the available streaming services because they are just really convenient. But the way I look at them is like going to a buffet and you get all sorts of different types of foods and you eat all of them and you experience it all at once for a pretty low price, but you don't feel as satisfied as you would have if you went for a nice meal where you just get one thing, but the quality is very, very high. It's a simple analogy, but I think it sort of holds for this discussion, but there's a lot more to get into. Now, is it true that physical media is dying? Well, you could be cynical and say yes, because literally everything in the universe is dying, even the universe itself, due to entropy, and it will eventually result in the heat death of the universe, blah, blah, blah. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about, is physical media going to be around in 5 to 10 years? Now, I can't tell you how many people in my life, friends and family, that I've heard from in the past few years who have told me that they have gotten rid of all of their physical media stuff, including CDs, DVDs, books. People are just getting rid of all this stuff en masse because it's just sitting in their homes and they're not using it when they've got all of these digital options available. And while that makes me sad, those people in my life are not collectors like you or I. And this is the reason why I think we might be going through a golden age of physical media, is because for the collector, we have more options than ever. There are so many great collectors Blu-ray labels out there, and it's the same for collectible vinyl records and collectible books and CDs and even cassettes. Cassettes are coming back. But speaking about Blu-rays, if you watch this channel often, you know that I talk a lot about the boutique Blu-ray labels like Criterion, like Arrow Video, who focus on releasing films but giving them, the utmost care and attention, and make sure the presentation is of the highest quality and supplying loads of extra features and stuff like that. And this year we are even having new labels popping up. I've recently talked about Radiance Films, who are one of my new favourite labels. They're doing great work. So it just shows that it can be done even when it seems like the market is a very difficult one for these Blu-ray labels. Another reason why I say it's the golden age of physical media is because even if releases are doing poorly in the present, we still have everything that has come before today. So you could look back at the last 10 years and you've still got all that stuff out there to explore and to watch films on and collect and stuff like that. Even if those films have gone out of print, if you really want them, you can find them. You just have to pay a bit extra, sometimes a lot extra. But I can go in my own personal collection and I can pick a Blu-ray disc off the shelf that was released 12 years ago and still have such a great experience. And I still have that from 12 years ago. So as collectors, we have everything that's coming out today, and we have just the history of the Blu-ray format, the DVD format. You can even go back further than that. So we still have everything that came before. As a consumer of physical media, I think where we are actually struggling is with some of the bigger companies, the bigger distribution studios and labels. They are seeing it as not that much of a profitable experience to put things out on Blu-ray. For example, the latest film from James Gray, Armageddon Time, which I saw in the cinema and I really liked it. That just came out, but on a DVD only here in the UK. Now I know it's on a Blu-ray in the US, which I'm going to have to import, but it just seems like Warner Brothers or whoever was distributing it sees that it's just not worth releasing here in the UK, which is a real shame because it just means that so many collectors are not going to be able to get their hands on that film on a Blu-ray. But I understand that Armageddon Time is a bit of a niche example. It's perhaps not a film that a lot of people are even going to want to check out. But take, for example, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is one of the biggest films to talk about at the moment, with the Oscars coming up, and it could win Best Picture and a load of other awards, etc. That still has no physical media release in the UK at all. There's no DVD, no Blu-ray, no 4K, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. Now, I'm sure that after the Oscars, it's got to have a physical release at some point over here. But it just comes to show how it's not a given that even if a film is massive and extremely successful, that is going to get a physical media release. And I think one of the stronger points to make for this being the golden age of physical media is I think we are seeing the final popular format for movies in the form of 4K UHD Blu-rays. The reason that I strongly think that 4K will be the last format is because of the nature of diminishing returns when we look at physical media formats over time. What I mean by this is that each jump in technology provides a smaller and smaller increase in output. So if we look at the jump from VHS to DVD, that was absolutely huge, a massive jump in technology. And then we go from DVD to Blu-ray, still a pretty big jump, but not as big, in my opinion, from VHS to DVD. And then from Blu-ray to 4K, again, there is a jump, but again, even smaller, which brings us to where we are now with 4K. I'm sure other formats will be trialed in the future. Whatever comes next, whether it's 8K or it's called something else completely, it's going to be trialed, but I just don't think it will catch on. For a long while, it was unclear whether 4K would actually succeed, but it has just about scraped by and has proliferated out into the rest of the industry. But I just cannot imagine that the jump from 4K to whatever comes next is going to be substantial enough to get people to adopt it. So with all of that said, I don't think that the outlook for physical media is as bad as some people seem to be predicting, but we should be grateful for what we have now. We should be enjoying this time of collecting these great movies on Blu-ray. I'm certainly having probably the best time at the moment collecting all sorts of things on Blu-ray and 4K. If you'd like to hear me talk more about physical media, that's what my channel is all about, so just click the video that's presented on screen right now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.